Rick and Morty, 12 crazy theories that may actually be true.
Rick and Morty theories. We all have our own ideas about what's going on in this over-the-top animated show. After being a late starter to the Rick and Morty animated series on Adult Swim, I've been amazed repeatedly with each passing episode. The amount of Easter eggs, pop culture items, and political satire scattered throughout an episode are enough to keep you happy for days on end. With endless possibilities and stories, fans' imaginations have been running rampant on the internet with fan theories and thoughts on the show's premise of endless multiverses. While some may seem far-fetched and silly at first glance, they are all very plausible if you consider the hints dropped throughout the 2.5 seasons thus far. Theory number 1, Rick is Morty, and Morty is Rick. This is by far one of the most popular theories circulating on the internet. There are different variants of this theory, however, with a mix of Morty growing up to be Rick or some time travel backstory. The limitations are endless here. There's no doubt that there's something to the pairing of the two as it resonates across the multiverse, becoming something of a parody. While there are many Rick and Morty theories about the two being one and the same, there's also enough reason to believe that they're not. For starters, at this point, there's no real resemblance between the two. Also, their intelligence levels are polar opposites. In addition to this, in a recent chat, the co-creators assured viewers that they weren't planning to use time travel as a plot device, which makes the theory a little more difficult to be plausible. However, it's still not impossible.
Theory number 2, Morty isn't Rick's first.
There have been numerous occasions when this theory has been tested, not least in Season 1, Episode 10, when Rick C-137 accepts a replacement Morty voucher. This has led to many suspecting that Morty C-137 isn't Rick C-137's single-quote first Morty. In the first episode of Season 3, Rick is trapped inside his own mind, being brainalized inside Series 9000 as the Galactic Federation attempts to reveal secrets from Rick's past. One of his memories shows him losing his family and Rick creating the portal gun. This shows Rick's first jump to a different multiverse, possibly Earth C-137. But, since Rick totally controlled the memories, it could also mean that the whole memory could have been staged, so it may also not be true. In Season 3, Episode 7, we see many Rickless Mortys. Given that they're not Rickless at the start, all Rickless Mortys have experienced their Ricks dying somewhere along the line. Mortys are raised to be sidekicks. The inverse here could also be possible. Perhaps Rick C-137 isn't the Rick from that multiverse, while Morty is. Following on from the above-mentioned theory that Morty isn't Rick's first Morty, there are other theories that he may be a clone. While I mentioned earlier that there are vast differences between the two, there are also some similarities. They have similar speech patterns, and Rick does take more of an interest in Morty's life as the series progresses, which shows a growing connection between the two that wasn't always there. In the Ricklantis Migzoop, the wide variety of Ricks and Mortys also leaves room for the theory to be true, especially with the introduction of Baby Rick. The experimental line of Mortys also suggests that some of the Mortys are clones.
Theory number 4, the Rickless Morty.
Throughout the series, Rick C-137 continually claims that he's the Rickest Rick. And it goes without saying that Rickest Rick would have the Mortiest Morty. This line is uttered in the close Rick counters of the Rick Kind episode. But just as soon as those lines are uttered, Rick C-137 goes on to suggest that a cocky Morty could lead to some big problems. This has led many fans to theorize that this is exactly what led to Evil Morty's occurrence. But, instead of being the Mortiest Morty, the suggestion is that he's the Rickest Morty. Earlier in the episode, a group of Mortys hail Morty C-137 as the one true Morty, which would make him the Morty's Morty and oppose the Rickest Morty. And now, with Evil Morty elected as president of the Citadel, the theory seems all the more plausible. Theory number 5, Evil Morty wants revenge. In addition to the above mentioned, the opening credits throughout all seasons show Rick possibly abandoning his Morty. Looking at the expression on Rick's face, he appears almost evil. Another theory here is that the abandoned Morty is Evil Morty, who now seeks his revenge on his Rick, which could also be Rick C-137 or all Ricks. Theory number 6, Rick's genius is fake. As we've seen in the very first episode, Rick and Morty embark on an adventure to retrieve seeds from super trees for Rick's research. When ingested, they can make you super smart. Fans have suggested that the liquid in Rick's flask isn't alcohol, but rather distilled super tree seeds. Judging by the instant smartness of Morty at the end of the episode, after the seeds have been absorbed in his rectum, which also caused him to dribble at the mouth, this could very well be true. Especially when you consider that this is a prominent feature for Rick too. As we see from all the Ricks in the Citadel, they too have the same tell signs, further strengthening the theory. The fact that Rick C-137 wasn't able to pick the fruit from the tree and leave the planet with it also makes one question why the seeds aren't readily available to all.
Theory number 7. Gravity Falls shares the same universe.
Well, this may not be a theory, since it's been established that the shows do share the same universe. The question is not whether this is true, but whether any of the characters from Gravity Falls may be Rick or Morty. A popular theory here is that Benjamin Blandon from Gravity Falls, a time traveler working to correct anomalies that occur in the different timelines, may actually be Morty. Theory number 8, Rick and Jerry never left the simulation. The scene in which Rick and Jerry are found in a loop of simulations boggles the mind. It suggests that there could be yet another dimension to the simulation, even after they have apparently escaped. After being caught by the Zygerians, they try to retrieve the recipe for dark matter from Rick, who escapes after providing them with a fake recipe instead. But why would they have allowed him to escape after providing an untested formula? A simulation within a simulation within another simulation? Does this mean that the entire show could be a simulation itself? Possibly. Theory number 9, we're not following the same Rick and Morty. Given that there are numerous Rick and Morty pairings throughout the different multiverses, it goes without saying that we could be following a number of different versions of the characters. After Rick accidentally Cronenbergs his entire planet, he leaves with Morty to a multiverse, where the two have died after a failed experiment, leaving behind their real family, or at least their assumed family. In addition, the Cronenberg Rick and Morty are overhead confessing that they accidentally turned all Cronenbergs into humans, meaning that another Rick and Morty could also reside there. While the series does go out of its way to explicitly state that the Rick and Morty we're following is from Earth C-137, it doesn't always do so in every episode. In Total Recall, Mr. Poopy Butthole's appearance indicates that we're following a different multiverse. He's also been entered into the opening credits, suggesting that he's been there all along. Theory number 10, Evil Morty isn't evil. Many theories spawned from the close Rick counters of the Rick Kind episode. With Evil Rick showing a list of the most evil Ricks, Rick C-137 features on the list as well. Is Rick C-137 also Evil Rick? Evil Morty only wants to get back to his Rick? Maybe he's just misunderstood. Theory number 11, Rick is just the character on the TV show. Rick has repeatedly broken the fourth wall, indicating that he's in a show. Seeing that Rick is the only one to blurt out these lines, it goes without saying that he's aware that he's in a TV show. In addition to this, he also constantly talks up the importance of interdimensional cable as a form of relaxation, which is a bit odd for a man of science who believes everything without a specific purpose is a waste of time. Theory number 12, it's all just an elaborate joke. Despite all the theories floating around the internet, all of them may be not. The show may be one big joke exploring any ideas that pop into the creators' minds. In the Morty's Mind Blowers episode, we see all the missing adventures or episodes from the show we haven't previously been aware of. Rick suggests that the memories don't matter and that Morty should sit back and enjoy. Many have taken this to mean that the co-creators suggest the show itself also doesn't follow a continuous story, and we're all reading too much into it. That said, looking at the upcoming episode guides, a sequence and story play out in the end. We should just be happy knowing we're along for the ride, however crazy it may be. Many more are floating around, but these Rick and Morty theories have gained the most traction over the years. Always remember to get swifty, and don't be such a Jerry.